This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Good evening. As we go live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, we've already got over 100 people tuned in. Thank you for joining us tonight. Extra time, the final word on the weekend's action, and the final word indeed, because Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, the Bees of Brentford 0. Diego Costa scores his first goal for the Wanderers. Wang Yi-chan comes on again and scores with his first touch. The Midas touch is back from Julian Lopetegui with his substitutions and his team selection. And we've got so much to talk about tonight, and we're going to get stuck into that. We've got two halves of the show. We've got Wolves fans that are joining us, our pundits tonight. And we're going to be talking, as usual, about the weekend's action, their points that they'd like to raise, the performance rating, their moment of the day, highlight of the day, their man of the match. We're going to be asking them a question as well. And we've also got the secret word again this week. So look out for that if you're watching in the chat. And we're going to get stuck in straight away. Everyone, we're welcoming in our first slot on the show, the voice of reason, Jack. Hi, Jack.
Evening, everyone.
Great to have you joining us, mate. Much appreciated. Returning to the show tonight, we've got Hoops. How you doing, mate?
Evening, gents. Evening, everyone. Doing good.
Yeah, and I can see that the wolf is still on your shoulder at the back there.
He's not the devil on the shoulder, it's the wolf, which is a big line of message.
He's like the all-seeing eye that's behind you. He's just basically, I think he's your agent, and he's basically checking what you're saying and stuff like that.
He's making notes behind me, so we'll have a debrief after. So, hopefully it goes well. But no, great to be back on with you all.
Fantastic. And also on first tonight, great to welcome back Nathan. Hi, mate.
Evening, Dave. Evening, all. We all well?
Absolutely. And I'm going to be really interesting to hear all your guys' takes on the show, on the weekend's action, because we all have different levels of tolerance and views about the game. And it's going to be about Wolves this season. But 2 back-to-back wins in this division is absolutely massive, and the performances have been good. So we are also, as I say, going to be asking everyone about, does Ruben Neves get back into the starting lineup next week? We've got loads of people that are already saying hi in the show. I'm Luke Miller there. Hi, cheers for taking a pic with you at the game. Welcome, Luke. Paul Somerset Wolf. Hi, everyone. Everyone's saying hello. Darren here saying hello to all the smiling faces, and there are. So, guys, as we carry on here, make sure you please let us know where you're watching in the world and who with. And before we get started, I would like to say a big thank you to Wolf Life, the local Bilston-based company that do mortgages, life insurance, and all the financials. They help power the show, and you can get into the draw for a Wolf shirt and get a good deal on any mortgages or life insurance in the link below. So, Jack, look at the little smiling face that you have, mate. The beaming smile. You look happy, Jack.
Absolutely. I mean, I was just saying to Josh just backstage. I mean, I'm more than happy for you to soundbite this and clip it up for later on. But I think we're done now. I think we're safe.
Absolutely.
I can't see those bottom 4 or 5 teams getting to 34 now, and I don't think we're going to lose 7 in a row, are we, to finish the season? We're going to pick up some points at some point, and we've got a tricky last 5 games, I know, but I think we've done enough in the last 3 games. There were 7 points. I mean, we were just saying as well how important and how vital that Pundit's goal at Forest is now. Absolutely massive that goal was.
Mate, absolutely. Because, I mean, if you think about it, 7 points out of 9 is fantastic. We've got people all over the world here. We are used to, I mean, did you just see this? Library D is watching us live over in Houston, in Texas. And if you're like a Forest fan at the moment, I'm sure they're going, Houston, we have a problem, because obviously they've lost again, and Wolves definitely are rocketing up the Premier League table. Indeed, when I looked at the table earlier, Hoops, we're 5 points behind Chelsea, mate.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're having a poor season, but you're right, and I do echo the comments. I think a lot of people listening and watching will probably feel a little bit more relaxed. Certainly after those 2 wins. It's strange, isn't it, really? Because there was a point when Julian came in and we put a run together and we got up to around about 13 and we're a little bit relaxed and going, we'll be okay. And then you have the performances that we saw at home, notably against Bournemouth and Leeds, and then you start to think, hang on, there might be some issues here, and it's perhaps not as comfortable as we perhaps would suggest. But no, I echo those thoughts. I think we're in a good position. We can review at the end of the season the context of, we're going to end up being a lower half side, which it wouldn't have been the initial outset, but you can also draw yourself back to sort of the Christmas period of being bottom, and most people would be happy where we're at now. So plenty of reasons to be positive, which we'll go into on the game. But generally, I can't speak for everyone, but I would imagine most will be feeling a lot happier this Sunday evening on the back of two good home wins, in particular, 2 clean sheets, and the team feels a little bit different at the moment. So we're in a good place, I believe.
Well, let's Nathan. I mean, 2 weeks ago, after the Leeds defeat, the Forest performance, obviously, as Jack mentioned, we got out of jail with that goal, and then the last 2 weeks, we talked about the performance last week, how it was really good, and Chelsea had 1 shot on target, I think. And we talk about the performance yesterday. I think we had something. Someone can tell us the stats. I think it was about 11 shots for about 9 shots on target. And we looked hungry. There looked like a lot of energy in the side. You looked at how they were playing, the quality of the football, the interchange, the link-up play. What's changed, Nathan?
Well, I think a big thing, Hoops has just touched on it, is team spirit and team morale. The way this team has transformed under J-Lo compared to Large, and some of the same personnel, but they're playing for each other and the team spirit's there. I think I'll make a comparison between, I don't know if anyone saw the Jamie Vardy incident against Man City, joking and having a laugh with Haaland. Whereas you would never get a Costa doing that with an opposition player. And we'll come on to Costa, I'm sure. But it just feels the hunger, the intensity, and it hasn't been there every match. You just touched on Forest and Leeds, and there's been a few poor performances, but where they have stepped up to the plate and they've been on the front foot, and they've been hungry and they've been tenacious in the tackling. None so more for me than Gomez. I mean, what a player he's turning out to be. The fist pumps when he tackles, the sort of intensity that he's showing. Is just amazing.
Which Gomez? Is it Joe Gomez?
Yeah, Joe Gomez rather than Totti. Or Totti coming in a left back, no one would have thought that was going to work. And actually, we've been really solid. Okay, we haven't seen a lot of penetration down that flank, as you'd expect with a centre back going into a wing back position. But we've just been solid, tenacious, hungry, and yesterday's game, some of the flair as well coming out, some of the flicks and the skill. It was gorgeous. Is that a word I should be using? Gorgeous, but it was so good to watch. And I think it's we're just stepping up against the big teams. And I think next season, let's pretend we're safe. If we can push on with that forward and with a bit more drive and maybe a few more goals, then this team's only going one way. And I think he's done tremendously well to keep us where we are. We're not safe yet, but I think three or 4 more points out of 8 games is totally doable. And those teams below us, the gap now, whereas before it was 3 or 4 points, it's yawning now between the bottom 2 especially. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit more chilled, a bit more relaxed, and you can sleep a bit easier at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, going to the game with Emma, the producer, where we're chatting, one of the things that she mentioned was what we need to happen is that to be a break on that 8 or 19 packs, that there's a, that pack becomes 4, 5 or 6 and we're not in it and we're pulling away. A bit like in a cycling race, there's the pack that gets away and then it's hard to claw that gap back. And it just goes to show that put 2 or 3 results together, how much of them, if we'd have beaten like the likes of Bournemouth and Leeds, which we should, on paper we should have done, we probably would be pushing towards the top half. But then you look at like Bournemouth, everyone keeps writing Bournemouth off and go, oh yeah, Bournemouth. They're on like 30 whatever points now, and they're picking up results everywhere. They might not have the quality, but they've got they seem to grind out the results. I mean, it was a sucker blow for Tottenham. West Ham battled back today against Arsenal, who I think after 10 minutes must have thought they were home and hosed. And obviously, Forest got well beaten by Man United. Leicester lost, as you'd expect. They had a better second half. Big result for Everton, losing at home to Fulham. And Wolves have put 2 back-to-back wins, and we're like 7 points clear. I mean, someone mentioned in the chat, I think it was Paul, yeah, we're not completely safe now, but we are, we got 7 games to go. We probably need to win 1 more game and a draw. 38 points is probably going to be enough. 34 points might even be enough. A lot of people say 36. I think 38 to be sure. It's looking a lot more positive. And we said after last week, great result, need to back it up. And to me, Jack, that was the best performance of the season for me yesterday.
I wouldn't disagree. I think actually, obviously, before the game, we were having a natter and a ramble as you do. And I kind of said, trying to be really clever and analytical, I think Brentford's a harder game than Chelsea. And everyone kind of went, yeah, you're right. And I kind of, I thought I was making a really clever point. But I think everyone kind of knew that Brentford would be a horrible, physical, tough afternoon. And we just brushed them aside. I mean, I think their best chances came late on in the game when it was already 2-0. Sarr made that brilliant save when he tipped it onto the bar, and then Kilman made the great block from Tony. But in the that
was in the last 5. I will put that save out in the next couple of days because I have a beautiful angle of that save, and it was a great save.
Yeah.
And then the bit where you're on about with Tony when he's running across the box trying to find the angle to shoot, and Kilman blocks him out beautifully and it goes out for a corner. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the game was kind of done by then, wasn't it? When it was still open and it was 0-0 and it was up for grabs, I thought we kept them out really, really well. And when we controlled the game, and we did to Brentford what they do to a lot of teams. We matched them for aggression and work rate and physicality. And then that allowed our better players to do what they do best. Look at the second goal, the run from Nunes where he beats 4 of them. That's unbelievable. That's brilliant football. And we talked about Nunes 3-4 weeks ago, and people were saying, why is he in the team? That's why he's in the team, because he's got that little bit of quality that other teams around us don't have. When the game's tight and the game's open and we're battling and we're working hard, he'll give you that little bit of quality and that'll get you a goal. It's a really well worked goal. I know we got a bit of luck with it deflecting into Wang's path, but
mate, Wang has got like his last 2 goals have been tap-ins, but although they've been tap-ins, he was there to put it in the. It's like he's on the pitch and straight away. At least he didn't get injured. I don't think.
No, but he's got that spidey sense, hasn't he? He knows when the ball's going to break through him in the box, and he gets there and he taps it in. And we've said all season, haven't we? We need to get more bodies in the box, more players forward, and we've started to do that. If you look at the goal yesterday when Costa scores, there's 4 or 5 bodies in the box in a Wolves shirt. And the same with the Wang goal. There's 4 or 5 bodies in the box there again. The Lamina chance right at the start where the keeper pushed it over the bar. There's 4 or 5 bodies in the box. There was a great chance second half with Costa when he sort of chested the ball down and laid it off. And he pointed, he went, play me the ball there. And Nunes just slotted it in and he had the shot and the keeper tipped it around the post. We've not had that for most of the year. A forward player going, this is the run I'm making. You find me and I'll get the shot away. We've not really had that. And it's only since Costa's probably got a bit sharper, a bit fitter, a bit hungrier, a bit stronger, that we've been able to have that focal point to kind of go, He's going to be at the centre of our attack. He's going to hold the ball up. He's going to win headers. He's going to win flick-ons. I mean, I thought what helped Costa yesterday was, is it Pinnock, the centre out number 5? Wanted a battle with him all afternoon. He wanted to get tight to him.
A battle with Costa.
No. If you watch Ben Mee, who I think is a brilliant defender, he went nowhere near Costa all game. He said, you know what? You go and do what you do, Costa. I'm going to go and do what I do. Pinnock was constantly touch tight, shoulder pot, and Costa just went, yeah, whatever, mate. You're not beating me in anything physical. And I think that really helped him. And I think Costa set the tone for me yesterday in terms of his aggression, his work rate, physicality. And like we said, that's what Brentford do really well. And we matched them for that yesterday. And that's why I think we won the game.
Yeah, I mean, we've got obviously Costa. I mean, he looked sharp. He looks fully fit. He certainly looks like he's playing for the shirt, and yeah, he had a slight bit of luck for the goal. But if you think about it, he was putting his foot out to block the clearance, and it went in. It was great, and the joy on his little face. And then he seemed to grow. Like once he got that thing, like he was shooting, and he was everywhere. He was. I thought it was absolutely brilliant yesterday. He looked like almost the Costa of old. Whether or not that's to do with his fitness or not, it's one game, okay. But he played well the previous week as well. Hoops, what are your thoughts on what Jack's had to say on that?
I think the first thing I wanted to mention, Dave, and you referenced Hwang, and I was thinking about him earlier today because it doesn't seem too long ago that this was a player who was sort of, I guess, out of favour with the fans. He was quite maligned. If you remember back to the incident at Newcastle at home with the clearance, and, I remember when him coming on and there was a little bit of a sarcastic cheer when he came on. But to me, and also if we go back to the transfer window, he was heavily linked to leaving the club to Leeds under Jesse March, who he was with before. And I make that point because I think it's worth making because, yes, he's had his injury problems, but he's been fantastic. The goal, okay, yeah, it was handed to him. But I think his attitude in terms of his application has been fantastic whenever he's been on the pitch, certainly in the previous game as well. So I was personally pleased for him because he's come across as someone who's got a great attitude, great application, and he's someone that you want to do well, And so I was really pleased for him. And then in terms of the game and the context of it, I agree with Jack's point coming into the game. You think Brentford are probably going to pose a bit more of a challenge than Chelsea, who are probably a little bit in disarray at the moment, real established side. But it was quite comfortable. I mean, I thought it was quite comfortable. If you listen to Thomas Frank and his ramble after the game, I think he saw a completely different game to us. But it was comfortable, and you asked, is it the best performance? Potentially. I think what I would say it was probably the most professional performance I've seen, that the way in which we managed the game when we were on top and we looked like we were going to stay on top, the balance was right. So, and I think it ties into Nathan's point about the spirit, the harmony with the team there. So for me, it was a polished professional performance all round. Very little to criticise unless you're being overly picky. It was I probably expect a little bit more from Brentford, but I don't want to do us a disservice because I think we did the right thing. I think Brentford maybe are petering off, but I still think you've got to do the job in hand. And I think for us, there was probably an expectation after beating Chelsea, but I think it helped that the crowd were on form. Costa, as a reference, was leading from the front, and we all kind of got that result together. So it was a very harmonious professional performance.
And yeah, I mean, some great points. I'm going to come on to the crowd and the atmosphere in a little bit because it was something that's talked about in the season. But before we move on to, I've got a little video from Jason that I promised to play because he's not on tonight. I'll play that, and then it creates another couple of debate points I want to talk about. Nathan, Costa,
yes, sir.
Quite rightly, as I think, I would agree with you. Earlier in the season, you were a bit down on him. And we did have this little jokey bet where you said he's not going to score all season. I said I think he will, and with the £10 for charity type of thing. How are you feeling after the last couple of games with Costa and obviously his performance and obviously him scoring yesterday? Where are you with it now?
I'll never begrudge anybody getting a goal for Wolves. And there's a few people around me who have obviously watched the show and were tapping me on the shoulder as if to knowingly say, that's 10 quid you owe Dave. And I'm like, absolutely fine with that. Where he's come from, you think of the Brentford performance away, nutted the player, got a three game ban. The Costa we've seen transform. And, the bloke was pretty much retired. And I think that's where I was coming from originally was it's a poor signing to sign a player who's pretty much done with the game. It did feel like bottom of the barrel kind of stuff. But to be fair to the lad, or man, or bloke, even though he's about 16 years younger than me, the transformation of that player, where he's come from, and the hunger's still there. The legs might not always be there, but the hunger and the desire of that player is still there. And I thought he was probably man of the match yesterday. He just led that line like we haven't seen probably have seen all season from a player, to be honest, in a Wolves shirt. I thought he was magnificent. So, hats off. I'm glad to be proven wrong on that one. I did think he was a poor sign at the time. And I don't think, he's probably got no longer than the end of the season. But if we can get a couple more goals from him, performances like that, then fantastic.
Well, Nathan, I think you're exactly right. What you were saying earlier in the season, I obviously can see your point. Where I was coming from, if he could stay fit and get fit, I saw glimpses of what he could be, and it's a confidence thing. And the one thing with Costa is when he goes on the pitch, you can see he really is giving it all. He seems to be enjoying his football again at the moment. He seems to have a manager in Lopetegui that really likes him and plays him. I thought Kuna playing in that 10 helps him as well, and the way that they played around him. But like as Jack said, the one thing that Costa got is control on the ball. The way he brings players in as well. It's almost like he's savvy. He's really, really savvy with what he does. And he's getting shots away. And the runs he was making, they're not something that you can really teach. They're instinctive and something from experience. Like that Jack mentioned, that run with the shot that he made. That's an instinctive striker that does that. Pointing, go, bang, shoots it in. So, I thought it was fantastic. The 10 quid, I think we'll go with the Dave Edwards charity, which he's doing for his... we interviewed him recently on the channel for the sensory room for his charity. So that's probably what I would suggest that we go with. I've got a video now from... Jason, who's celebrating today, he'll let you tell him himself, but he's got a video that he sent in and has asked me to play, and then there's some talking points that come out of that. So here's Jason.
Come on. I really do enjoy coming on the show. It's always great. And now, yes, it's this little man's christening today, isn't it? You and your big sister. So that's why I can't come on. So we've got a bit of a party today and obviously a christening. Listen, Dave, fantastic win yesterday. I've been banging on social media about these must-win games. Let's take a draw. 7 cup finals to go now. I mean, in the words of our leader, before yesterday's game, 8 cup finals to go. We've got to win every game, or at least win every game until we're safe. Back-to-back wins at home at Molineux is huge. Credit to the old goal pack as well for the flags, because that was a fantastic touch. But to see Diego Costa score for Wolves, his first goal for the club, was incredible. And I think we all want, yes! And I think we also badly wanted that goal. And great to see Huang on the score sheet too. And you know what? Like I said, 2 back-to-back wins at Molineux. Yes! 6 huge points, Dave. But the big question is, what team does he put out against Leicester next week? Does he does he put Neves on the bench? That's the big question. And I made a big call yesterday on Twitter and I said, I think he should put him on the bench. One thing that Lopetegui has struggled with is a settled side now in his best 11, and he might just have found it. Listen, Neves is the best player in our recent history. I'm not saying drop him by any stretch, but who can you drop in the team in the midfield for Neves to come back in? Sending him crazy. Anyway, Dave, keep up the great work. Sorry I can't come on the show tonight. Always Wolves.
Fantastic for Jason to send that in. And he does raise 2 really good points. The the one we're going to cover off in a little while, which a lot of people have asked us to talk about, is the Neves conundrum, because there is a Neves conundrum right now, and I'll put that the title. And we're going to come to that, and we are going to get you guys in the chat to get involved with that as well. But the other points that he raised was the atmosphere. Now, a lot of the thing, I'm on the Match Day Experience group, Jackie's as well. There's a few things that have changed. The wonder of you playing, the build-up's changed. They're getting the team announced before the game. The old gold pack fan initiative, getting the flags, which early doors when you looked at it, the first 2 or 3 or 4 games, it's like, well, is that it type of thing? But it takes time to build. Yesterday, looking at it from the North Bank, there was 1,000 flags, I think, and it looked great. It really did look good, because the whole stand at it, and it was fantastic. And I think there was 1,000 flags before the game, but how many flags were there after the game, Jack?
I think Paul on the Match Day group said that there was hundreds had been taken, hadn't there, after the game? So there were a lot that weren't there by the end.
Yeah, and I think that you've got a little message from the Match Day group that you'd like to put out about that, Jack.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think what we've got to kind of remember is that this is a fan-led initiative. This isn't the club saying, here are some flags to wave before the game and take them home after. This is what the fans are doing to try and help the atmosphere, which helps the players ultimately. And I think Lopetegui even passed a message on to pass on to the Match Day group, didn't he, to say the support is really important for the players and for myself, particularly in these crucial games. So it has a big impact. But this is a fan-led initiative, so there's not an endless pot of money like there is with Fosun to replace hundreds of flags every single game. So if you want the flags to be there for every single game, you've got to leave them there at the end as well, because they can't just keep buying new ones and replacing them. That's not fair on the people that are putting their neck out and creating this initiative, is it? And I said on the group, I don't think it was malicious. I don't think people said, well, I'm taking these flags, whatever. I think there was a genuine miscommunication. I think people might have thought that they were there as souvenirs to take after the game, but the message is from Old Gold Pack. They're there to use during the game. You need to leave them in the stand at the end, and then they'll reuse them the game after. That's the message. Absolutely.
So some people, I think, just thought, oh, well, they're nice, we'll take them back. Didn't realise if you've taken some flags, understandable. They look great. They're like a souvenir type of thing. As what sometimes things have been put out by the club. The thing is, can you bring them back next game? Because obviously they cost money to produce, and they're trying to build up this atmosphere. Absolutely, but it did look good. I'm going to come back to you last on the Neves conundrum. Hoops, if you want to make a comment, Hoops and Nathan, on the atmosphere and the flags as well, please do. But the next question is, and we've got to get an answer from everyone that comes on the show tonight, is, does Ruben Neves, the club captain, our captain, if you're the manager, the head coach, does he go straight back into the side next game? And before you answer that, just let everyone know, if you want to get involved with this in the chat, which I'm going to ask you to do in a minute, make sure you subscribe, because if you subscribe, it means you can actually join in the chat. And you only have to subscribe to join into the chat. And whilst our fans and pundits are answering this question, you guys, I'm asking you in the chat, if you're the manager, put yes if you put Neves straight back into the side against Leicester, and no if you put him on the bench. And then we'll get a good vox pop of how everyone's going to think. Over to you, Hoops.
It's a difficult decision, isn't it? And it's one that might divide. As Jason referenced in the video, you're dealing with, in the case of Neves, your captain and such an influential figure, but also you have to balance that with the harmony of the side, and so for me, I wouldn't personally bring Neves back in. I could see why you would on a couple of points, in respect of undoubtedly his ability and his influence, and also he may still feel with Joe Gomez, for example, that he has to manage him carefully. So he may feel, in his view, if he brings it in, it's not a knock on Joe, for example, on Gomez. It's the fact that he's young and he may need to bring him back in and then, reintroduce him. But for me, on the back of those two performances, and also perhaps for future planning, if we're being selfish about Wolverhampton Wanderers and not Ruben Neves, who may be going in the summer, we've got players in that place who may be with us a little bit longer. So this is the opportunity, and it's not as if we're flooding academy players. They've, for me, earned their shirt for the next game. So for me, I would keep him on the bench, but I could see why he reintroduced such his influence, but I wouldn't change a winning side, particularly in those positions.
Absolutely. Nathan?
Yeah. I mean, as Hoop said, you can sit on the fence a little bit on this one, but I've never been one to sit on the fence. So for me, Neves comes back in for Gomez at the moment. I think Gomez is looking like a fantastic player. What I would say is we need to find a way with Neves in the team to get forward quicker and to move the game quicker, because what's happening is, especially when you play Moutinho and Neves, everything slows down in that midfield and comes to a halt. Now, it has been brilliant with Gomez, Lemina, and who's the third guy? Who am I thinking of? Thank you, Nunes. It's been fantastic, and the players moved on so much quicker. But I just think you can't not play Neves. He's the best player we've had at this club for, well, probably in my lifetime, if I'm honest. And I think Gomez, for all his quality, is as Hoops touched on, he's still that young growing player. So for me, I'd bring Neves back in, and I think that's what J-Lo will do. Can't see him not playing Neves. But to go back to an earlier point, what we have seen a lot of is chopping and changing and a bit of a lottery in terms of who's starting. And we get into that half-time point, and he's bringing on 3 or 4, and we're all commending J-Lo for changing it up at half-time. But it does show that the starting lineup wasn't right and the balance wasn't right. So what we've seen in the last few games is that settled lineup. So I think bringing Neves is the right thing to do, bringing back Neves, but it's a close call thing. I think, I'd be perfectly happy if he did keep the side the same, but I think I would err on the side of getting Neves back in.
Okay. So that's 2-1 because we heard Jason, obviously his opinion. Hoops has said from the bench, you've gone for bringing him straight back in. So that's fair comment. I think it's... I'm keeping an eye on the chat as well, on the balance of that. I know the producer's keeping an eye on that as well. So Jack, Neves, next week against Leicester, is he back in the starting 11 or is he on the bench?
For me, he's back in for Gomez. I totally agree with what Nathan said. I think, I was talking about this earlier with my mate, and I'm sort of making a comparison that's perhaps not quite fair. But if you watch Manchester City when Haaland doesn't play, they look like a better team, a more fluent team, a more fluid team. But he has to play every week for them because of his goals record and what he brings to their team. And I think we're a little bit similar with Neves. We've actually played really, really well without him in these last 2 games. And the midfielders look very balanced and they've brought some aggression and physicality that we've needed. But he's such an important player for us and an important player for how we want to play that I think he has to play when he's fit and available. Yeah, and then that's harsh on Joe Gomez. And listen, gets to 2:00 next week and we're at the King Power Stadium and the team news comes out and it's Lemina and Gomez. Not a problem. Happy with that completely. But for me personally, I think Neves has to come back in. And I think it's right to bring Gomez because, listen, we've got a really important game next Saturday against Leicester. We've got an equally as important game on the Tuesday night at home to Crystal Palace. Now, there's not a chance in hell, and I'll be really surprised if Lopetegui picks the same 11 for both games. So players will get an opportunity in one of those 2 games. I mean, for example, Costa, there's no way he'll start both of those games. And I think there's 1 or 2 others, you've got the likes of Traore, Neto, whose fitness is being managed, you've got Wang, Pundit, those kind of guys. So there'll be a lot of chopping and changing between those 2 games. So if Neves comes straight back in against Leicester, it might be that if Gomez drops out, he comes back in for Palace and Lemina drops out to the bench for the Palace game. So we've got options there, haven't we? I mean, we were saying in the pub yesterday after the game, you go back to that first game of the season at Leeds and you look at our subs bench on that day. It was Cody, Bolly, and the under-21s. You look at our squad now. We've got people like Jimenez, Ait Nouri, Boubacar Traore can't even get onto the bench. Our squad is so much stronger now, and that's what's made a massive difference, I think, for us. So to answer the question, I've gone a long way around it. Neves back in, yeah.
All right, well, that makes it 2-2. It's fairly split in the chat. I think it's probably about 60-65% from what I'm being told. No in the chat at the moment, but we're going to continue to talk about this throughout the rest of the thing, because obviously we've got the second half of the show to come on, so it'll be interesting to see what the guys have to say about that as well. So, Hoops, we're going to go with you first, and you've got your normal 3 questions, which is your performance rating, your man of the match, your highlight or moment of the day. Remember, it can be anything from the day. And the question this week is, who would you have? I can't wait to hear the answer for this. To have play you in a movie or a film or a top TV Netflix show or something like that. There are your 4 things.
Okay, so a performance rating, I think I would go as high as probably 8.5. I think it was a really good performance. I don't really see where you knock points, but I think within the context of the performance, that's as pretty high as I can go. So 8.5. In terms of player of the match, very quickly notable, Semedo has been excellent lately. I've always been a fan of him. I think he's been great. And there were many good performances, which I'll let people discuss. I think Costa shades it, not necessarily just for the goal, but I just think the impact that's been referenced in terms of his hold-up play and how he's sort of freed up other players. So I think all round I would go Costa. It's the best performance I think we've seen in a Wolves shirt. In terms of moment of the match, I think what stuck out, and I think people have seen it on social media with the highlights, was the celebration after the second goal. That moment where Hwang picks out Nunes because he made the goal for him effectively, and they've all come together in a sort of a celebratory huddle. And we talked about the team spirit, and that was a real moment. That was a kind of this is what we've been working on training, and it just felt. I watched it back. It gave me a good feeling. I thought it was a really good moment. The players showing outwardly to everyone that we got this. We're a good knitted team. So that was certainly a moment. Your last one. I'm trying to fight Nathan really for people of our luck who might play us, who we might not pick. So maybe I'll look for someone with glasses. There's the actor. Is it Stanley Tucci? Is it who's on like American Italian guy? He's got glasses similar to me, so I'm gonna go with him. I can't get away with a Statham or a Willis. That's not in my repertoire. So someone a little bit more who likes a quieter life. So I'm gonna go Stanley Tucci if I'm pronouncing that as my actor. And you feel free to.
Did you say Stanley Tucci?
Is it Tucci? Is it
Stanley Tucci? Stanley Tucci,
You mean this guy?
Yeah,
let's have a look.
Yeah.
There you go. So he's got the glasses for him.
Actually, he's your doppelganger. Dude, that's fantastic.
So I think we'll go with Stanley. I'm sure he can put on a Wolverhampton accent. So.
Right there, you do it. Oh, of course, he's an actor, and I'm sure he can do it. That's a good shout, that is, mate. I like it. Thanks for that, Hoops. Nath, the ball passes to you.
Wait till I get to my doppelganger. Yesterday was I think someone touched it earlier. I think probably our most all-round performance of the season, from defence, midfield, attack. Centre backs were absolutely outstanding yesterday. I mean, Kilman's tackling was awesome, and what a signing! What's his name's been as well. You can tell I'm tired tonight. It was awesome yesterday. So if I was going to pick, I know I'm rambling on a bit. If I was going to pick one player of the game, I think it's a toss up between Costa and Nunes. That little Nunes run for the Costa goal is just out of this world. And some of the way he glides, the speed he goes across that pitch, it's mesmerising to watch, and you can see why Liverpool were hungry. I think at the start of the season, maybe not so much now. hopefully hands off. But yeah, he's been outstanding the last couple of games. So I'll probably go for Nunes, man of the match, if I was going to pick one. And if I was going to pick, my favourite moment of the match was that chance that the South Bank started, the 2-0 chance. I thought it was just fantastic.
That was banter.
Who knows?
That was banter at his best.
Yeah, I know Tony's. Whether something actually happens with Tony for betting a regulation. I mean, why, as a footballer earning all that cash? I know they get bored, and gambling does come into it. And I think that the Premier League decision recently to stop sponsor betting companies on the front of Premier League shirts from 2025 for me is just a really positive thing. It can be recreational. I'm not going to get my high horse here too much, but it can be recreational for some, and I don't mind that at all. But I know people who've gone through gambling woes and it really affected their mental health. I remember years ago when I think we had whether it was Sporting Bet or one of the companies on the front of the shirt, and I went on Twitter and said completely against this. Think it's a really poor decision. I can see all clubs are going there because of the financial benefits. And I just got pelters. Oh, I bet you're fun at a party. I was deadly serious that it's just not. Anyway, I'll shut up about that one for a change. So that was my moment of the match. Man of the match, I'd probably go with Nunes. If I was going to give a rating, I'd be positive as well. I'd probably say an 8.5 as well. I'll go with Hoops on that one, and go with 8.5. If I was going to pick someone a bit like Hoops, we are scrambling a bit when it comes to bald actors. I think I'd go a bit left field and maybe go for Peter Ebdon, the snooker player. Get typing that one in, Dave. That's probably my doppelganger. He's a bit right wing compared to me, but I'd probably go Peter Ebdon. As Hoop said, Statham's a bit of a stretch. He's a bit younger and fitter than I'll ever be. So you got Ebdon up on the screen.
Peter Ebdon.
There you go, Peter Ebdon, sort of grumpy, cantankerous snooker player.
Mate, I think that's a really good shout as well. I think both of you have absolutely nailed it with that, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Peter Ebdon, that's a really good shout. Jack, aha. Moment of the day, performance. Yeah. And don't forget, moment of the day or highlight could be anything. It doesn't have to be the game. I know I'm rambling on a bit, but all I'm saying is moment of the day, performance rating, man of the match, and actor or personality, shall we say.
Let's go for that. So performance rating, I'm going to go for a 9. I thought we were that good. I thought we kept a really good team. We're having a really good season to a minimum of chances, and we created good opportunities ourselves. So I want to go for a 9. Man of the match, Costa, set the tone, aggressive, hungry, showed that desire. We talked about it after the Forest game, didn't we? We wanted to see some passion from the team. We had that in bucket loads from Costa yesterday, and it really set the tone. You can see actually how much the rest of the team respect him and admire him. When they celebrated that goal for him, which was my moment of the day, his goal, you could see the influence that he has on that dressing room. And I know people were saying the other day, do we give him a new deal for next year? And I'm not convinced yet, but the influence he's having in that dressing room, I think, we can't understate that. So he was my man of the match, and the goal was moment of the day. I can see someone saying Alan Carr. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I was going to say Jack Black. I like Jack Black. So
you're going to go with Jack Black.
Yeah, we'll go Jack Black. There you go. You're going to type that one in.
I am typing it in. Jack Black. You ready for this? So we've gone with Jack Black, and here he is. What do you think, guys? Jack Black. I think I'm going to give yours a 7.
Okay. I'll take that.
I think it's close. It's pretty good. Pretty good. If he had the glasses, could work. We could add the glasses. Can I find Jack Black with glasses? Let's see if I can find Jack Black with glasses. Mate, absolutely brilliant. Fantastic. Before you go, guys, I want to go around and just ask you for your score prediction for Leicester and your thoughts on that. Obviously, you've given your thoughts about Neves. Jack, you start first. Score prediction?
I'm going to 2-1 Wolves.
2-1 Wolves, absolutely.
2-1 Wolves,
And Hoops?
I feel like I need to be on countdown and show you my pad, but that was the exact same score that was in my head. 2-1 Wolves.
2-1. And finally, Nath.
It's all right. I'm just listening to the cat destroy the grill. I think he's trying to get to the burgers. I'll go 1-0. 1-0 Wolves. Leicester in an absolute disarray at the moment.
1-0 Wolves. That'd be great because we have a bad record at Leicester, don't we? And we don't want Vardy doing his howling again and stuff like that because he likes doing that against us. It'd be nice to go to Leicester and give them a little bit of a beating because we do tend to come out on the worst side over at Leicester. Guys, that's the first 45 minutes of the show. It's all we need now is Rihanna doing the halftime show, and we're sorted. Absolutely brilliant. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your comments, and thanks for making the show entertaining and also being so entertaining as always. Much appreciated. Cheers, Hoops.
Cheers, guys. All the best.
Cheers, Jack.
Thank you. Cheers. See you later, everyone.
And thanks as well, Nath. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Dave. Enjoy the rest of the show, mate.
Will do, mate. Fantastic. So that's the first half of the show completed. As I say, if you're enjoying the content, you really enjoy this, let YouTube know you're enjoying it. And if you listen to it back on the podcast, smash a like, leave a comment. And if you do want to get involved in the chat, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and you'll be able to do that. Next up on to the channel tonight, we have Josh. How you doing, mate?
Right, Dave. I'm good to tell you.
Absolutely fantastic, mate.
Yeah.
Really good to have you back on after a couple of weeks. I know you've had a few issues personal-wise that you've had to deal with, but I'm glad that you're back now. And this is going to make people chuckle. Happy Chris.
Happy Chris. Yes. How you doing?
Hey. You might have seen, I actually interviewed Chris after the game the weekend, and I've watched it back. You made some great points, mate. You come across really, really well. And Josh, I've still got to get you on as a post-match reaction.
No.
And also I've got to get Sutty on at some point. But talking about that, talking of the devil, here he is. He always wears these damn cool tops. And there he is. Sutty.
How are we, boys?
All good, all good.
Absolutely fantastic. You've probably been listening to the first part of the show, obviously. So let's not mess about before we get talking onto the talking points, because one of the things that we were literally getting stuck into is the Neves conundrum, and obviously it's 2-2 at the moment on Neves, whether he comes back into the starting lineup next week. Now, the one thing that we have to point out here, this isn't not by any means anyone dishing Neves and not saying he's brilliant. We love Neves. He's our captain. He gives 150% every single game. You know, he single-handedly is won games for us and stuff. This is just talking about since he's dropped out the side, we've won 2 games. Nunes has had his best performances. Is there a Lampard-Gerrard thing where Nunes and Neves access don't quite work together? Or would you bring Neves straight back in next one? So let's get stuck straight into the meat of this. Josh, you can kick off with your thoughts on that one.
I personally think he comes back in. He's club captain. I think the way we played, it would have been him and Jimenez in the middle because the last 2 games, Nunes has been out on that right-hand side, which I think has suited him better than when he was playing him on the left-hand side of that midfield 4. He's on his stronger right foot. But I think he does come back in, and I think he'll drop. It'll be Lamina and Neves in the middle, and drop Gomez back onto the bench. Although he's had 2 brilliant games, I do think we'd have still got the same results if Neves was on the pitch. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he comes back in.
Okay, Chris.
No, not a chance. You can't disrupt that team. Of the 2 games that we've got next to play in close proximity, I think Leicester away is probably going to be the easier 2. If you watch Palace in the last few weeks, they're not a bad side. So I would keep the same team against Leicester, noting what the lad said earlier on was right. We're going to have to swap the team around in the short space of time. I keep the same team against Leicester, and if we have got tired, as we think it hasn't quite worked, we've got an opportunity, and then bring Neves in against Crystal Palace. But I would be really disappointed if we brought him back in, noting that the three outstanding players that we've had in the last 2 games have all been those guys in that midfield. I think we've got to accept as well that he's probably going. So we may not see much of him for the next 5 or 6 games after, if we get safe. He's got to start bedding in. He's got to start looking the next year the minute we're safe, because there's a lot of work to do.
So for you, Neves
will change.
For you, Neves stays in.
He's not coming in, Dave.
Neves doesn't go straight into the side.
He's getting splinters.
He's getting splinters on the bench.
Not in a nasty way. He's just.
Well, you also saw as a captain as well. You saw Neves clapping. You saw him in the changing room as well, leading as a captain. He's there with the lads and stuff like that. So that makes it 3-3 between the pundits tonight as well. And I think Wolves are going to try and make another offer to try and extend his contract. So that's still going on. So we'll have to wait and see with that. Sutty, so over to you then.
No.
Explain why.
Like I said about last week, Dave, probably in my time, technically the best player I've seen at Wolves is João Moutinho. Obviously, the years are catching up now, and he's being used correctly. But Ruben Neves, never in my lifetime did I think I'd see him play for us for nearly 6 years. But he is an outstanding professional, Dave. He is the heartbeat of this club. He will understand, as a professional footballer, that he can't just walk straight back in. Now, what will happen? I'm pretty sure that he'll start with virtually the same side against Leicester, and Neves will be introduced. And that will be the gateway to him playing against Crystal Palace. It's just, that's the way it should be done. Now, we might be 2 or 3-0 up against Leicester and he introduces him, happy days. But don't forget as well, Dave, these things that they wear that look like bras that have got a little box on the back under their shirts, that little box is called a pro zone. And that tells our physios and medical team every single thing that's happening on those players' bodies and within their bodies. And they have a thing on those pro zones called the red zone. Now, we might think, why isn't he playing this week? If they hit the red zone at any point, they get rested, because that's when they're going to get injured.
Yeah.
So we may think, I don't know why he sat on the bench. A lot of it is to do with all the information that they gather every minute of every day while they're at that club, training, what have you. That pro zone is telling those club physios and medical team exactly what's happening to that player's body. So we don't know. You might think, oh, Lopetegui's got it all wrong here. He may well be told, because the medical team have the last word here. He can't go against that medical team, and he will be guided by them. They will come in. If you watch any of like the Prime videos again with Spurs and all of this, then that's what happens. You'll see the medical team come in and say he can't play. He's borderline injury happening. He is. So that's what happens.
Absolutely, but some great points there. And just to let you guys know, obviously that steers it through to a 4-3, where I am in terms of the Neves. Neves is like my favourite player, really. He's absolutely brilliant. I love him. Absolutely love the fact that he's our captain. I love the fact that he gives 150%, how much he loves Wolves and everything like that. And, he's a world-class player. But even saying that, I don't see how you can change a team that's played so well for the last 2 games, got the results and done that. And, the midfield have been fantastic. Is it a coincidence that we've seen Núñez play his best 2 games, the last 2 matches? with the balances in the midfield. Sometimes things happen when a manager's trying to find the perfect team to get the results that they need, and something left field happens, like your captain, best player getting suspended, and players come in and they've taken the shirt. And there's the old adage, isn't there? You know, it's theirs to lose. I think I agree with Sutty and Chris and the others. I know some of you might disagree with me. If Neves starts next week, fair enough. I trust Lopetegui. But to me, I think if Neves is on the bench, because he's such a true professional and he's the club captain, he would support that decision wholeheartedly and would be saying to the guys on the pitch, fair do, you've been brilliant. I'll wait my turn. And I think Neves is that type of character because he's a humble guy. He's not a prima donna. He is a team player and he's the club captain. So I think personally he starts on the bench. I agree with Sutty. I think he probably starts against Palace once he's come on, because there's a game to literally two or 3 days later. So it's not like he won't start. He will change the team for that, and I think he starts. Sutty, I did think about you when the last 2 games Moutinho's come in, not started. This is something you've been saying. Happy for him coming on later on. Happened again the weekend.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. He is ideal, Dave, in that role. He's got so much experience, hasn't he? And think about it, when you're 2-0 up, Dave, you really, you want to slow the game down, break it up into little stages. Don't let them get a foothold. Just play the simple sideways ball. Don't do anything flash. Get the points. That's all you've got to do, Dave. And that 36-year-old head in the middle of the park then is absolutely key. Really is key. When you're going after them, let's not be any fools here. Brentford have had an outstanding season. They're a real good side. It's a ramble in the park for us, Dave. I thought that was a regulation win. The game that Thomas Frank watched and was interviewed after, where he said they were the better side, I think he's a bit delusional.
I'll tell you what, Thomas Frank, it's Emma's least favourite manager. She really doesn't like him at all because she thinks he's arrogant. Hey?
Jurgen Klopp version 2.
Oh, don't you? You ain't a big fan of Frank.
He was watching a different game to me anyway, Dave. I mean, I thought we were outstanding. Probably our best performance of this season for me. I think it was better than the Liverpool performance. You know, that was it's almost a one-off performance of Liverpool won this season. But it's all about balance for me, Dave. And I think, when we said against Forest, I told you that what Alex Ferguson said, where you can only afford to have 3 players who are under par. Well, we had several players that game. And that game now has almost become pivotal, because it was as if we were rock bottom. We didn't lose, but we were, performance-wise, we were rock bottom. And that 85th minute goal gave us just that glimmer of hope, because I believe if we'd have lost that game, we were in massive trouble, huge trouble. So that Daniel Pedent's goal could be the catalyst to doing something like what the Villa are doing now, where they've gone on a run, where they're not getting beat. And I've got a lot of mates who are Villa fans who are saying, I mean, yesterday they were outstanding apparently, but they've had a few games, like against Forest the week before. They weren't brilliant. Forest gifted them 2 goals. They weren't brilliant, but winning becomes a habit. You know how to win good and you know how to win bad. That's what top teams do. And it's all about balance. Take Cunha, for instance. Okay, he's not banging goals in for fun. The kid works his proverbials off, doesn't he? They all did. Totti Gomez. Where's this come from? Yeah, fullback. Who would it? When he started him at fullback, and I've put my head in my hands going, I'm not so sure this bloke is the genius we think he is. He clearly sees him in training. We look a big, powerful unit across that back 4 now. There's crosses coming in. They're getting dealt with. He's hard. I mean, he just puts a shift in. He leaves everything on that pitch. That's all I ask, Dave. Don't mind losing. Leave everything on the pitch. But balance is key now. It seems that we've found a nice balance.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously Totti Gomez. I mean, we were. I mean, on that left side, Johnny Otto. Obviously, he's out, so he's forced to make the change. We're thinking, what we're going to do? Ain't Norris sort of gone AWOL, or he ain't even in the starting lineup? He was like
been AWOL since he's been here, Dave.
Yeah, well,
to be fair.
I mean, he went through a bit where he was absolutely fantastic. Bueno's come in, done amazing, and you're thinking when he brings in Totti, and you think, what? And he's been absolutely brilliant. He hasn't let us down at all.
No.
He does everything by the book. He hasn't got much of a mistake. He hasn't really got a ricket in him and stuff. He gets forward. He makes some good passes. He looks to play the ball forward when he can as well. Josh, what points would you like to make from the game?
I say going into it, I know they were 4 games without a win. I wasn't too confident because I know they're attacking well. We know Ivan Toney's still been scoring, but I think we controlled the game in midfield. We controlled the game massively. I think shifting Nunes from the left side of midfield, playing 4-4-2 to the right, has helped. Because I think when we played Forest, Totti was at left back and Nunes was in front. Nunes kept coming in, and Totti had no one there to feed off in front of him. Since he's swapped that change in the last 2 games, Totti's looked a lot more comfortable going forward with having Sarabia or Podence in front of him, or Cunha sweeping over to help. And then Sam's outside. Nels gets better going forward down that right-hand side because Nunes cuts in on the right and he's got the room to go forward there. Thought we controlled the ball in midfield really well. And I think Costa's input in the game yesterday was unbelievable. He looked like Jermaine Genius said last night at Match of the Day, he looked like the Costa of old, running with the ball. When he ran from the centre circle for the goal, he looked a different animal to what we saw when we played Brentford away last year. But I thought we were very, very controlled. And I've got to put my hands up and apologise to a certain Mr. Jose Sarr for saying 2 weeks ago, put Daniel Bentley in goal, because some of the saves he's made the last 2
games. That did on his channel that said it.
Yeah. And it was he's made some cracking saves. That one towards the end where I thought it had gone in.
Mate, I have actually got that clip. If you watch it on the I don't know if you've watched the vlog back. If you haven't watched the Forest vlog, watch it back. It's a nice vlog. Not the Forest vlog, the vlog Brentford. From Brentford at the weekend. But I will put it on social over the next couple of days on the Always Wolves Twitter and Instagram. So make sure you follow that. But it is a great save.
Yeah, I mean, he was going down towards that bottom corner, and I was waiting for the net to ripple because it was all compact from the save bank. We couldn't quite see it, and I was just waiting for the net to ripple like we've had in the past. And I'm thinking, has that not gone in? But then I thought after the game, the interviews, Lopetegui, he's got to aim now. He knows what he's looking for from the players. He said it before the game. Don't know what, like Sutty said, I don't know what Frank was pretty rambling on about. Packed out away, and he said as well. I can't believe they put them in there rather than the upper and bottom tier.
Yeah.
Got 200 fans too many to go in the quadrant.
Oh, had they? So they paid for the full allocation of the steeple and didn't fill it.
Yeah.
There you go. Chris, what points would you like to make, mate? Day on.
Going on what Josh was just saying about Sarr and Bentley, Sarr is a different keeper in the last 2 weeks because he's got more confidence in the back four in front of him. Yeah. Back four more confident because they've got a much stronger, aggressive midfield in front of them. That's how it all works, and that's where it's all come from, and it all feeds off they all feed off each other. You could see when they scored the goals, the team celebrations they're having. That those lads are enjoying their football now. You can see that. I think we've got to give Lopetegui credit because I've called him a tinkerer before, but I generally think he's been sussing out his way, and and going back to new Ruben, I don't want to ramble on about him, but I think, you can't not play Ruben, and that's the thought. Any manager coming in will come in, never starts every time. But you see the components we've got in midfield, and Keith mentioned Moutinho. I want to single out Wang because he's been coming on with Moutinho, and he's been putting the other team back into their back 18-yard box. And
I love the way we were pressing towards the end of the game.
Oh yeah.
I also think that we wasn't fit enough under Bruno Lage. From what I understand, they're only training 3 days a week from the stuff I've heard. But they look so much fitter now, and we have more energy at the end of games. And we've, the last couple of games, how we've been closing teams down and they've been fighting. Jack mentioned the tracking of Kilman for Tony and stuff like that. There seems to have, I don't know, it suddenly seems like it's clicked.
Yeah, they're working as a unit. They're all working as units, and that's what we need. And it just shows the difference. The other thing we haven't mentioned, nobody I don't think's picked up on, and it's caused a bit of debate over the weekend, was the non-award of a penalty again.
Yeah,
because that was a frigging penalty. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, yeah. he was falling over. The keeper knocked him over. It doesn't matter whether he looked like it. That's all supposition. It's absolute. The ball wasn't going out. Thought he would have got it, and I just.
Well, at the time that was 1-0. It was 1-0 at the time. Yeah. That get the penalty, got a chance for 2-0, and obviously at 1-0, it's always a very nervy score. And it's like, again, if you watch the match vlog after, I've actually got that on in terms of reaction to the VAR, and of course I'm rolling my eyes when it doesn't get given. Me and Em have been to Telford today to watch the women play Derby. Forest, if you don't follow the women's team or not, they're in effectively the third league. They're second. They're 3 points behind Forest. Forest have played a game more. Forest have got 21 plus goal difference, so you ain't going to catch the goal difference. Forest draw with Brighouse today away, who have got a decent side. Wolves win the game against Derby. Destiny's in their own hand. And you talk about the men not getting penalties. Absolutely cast iron penalty for the women. The referee's on the halfway line, waves it away.
I've seen it.
Just thinking, is it Wolves or what? We just never seem to get a penalty. But for them, it could cost them the title and promotion.
Yeah. I was reading through the stats earlier on the Premier League fantasy football app, and I was just flicking through because I didn't realise these stats were there. And it was on FootMob. I use FootMob, and I was flicking through, and it said where we were in the table wise of penalties given. We've only been given 2 all season,
and they were early season.
Yeah.
The thing with that one yesterday against Chelsea, Wang chased down the centre half. Is it Koulibaly?
Yeah,
Koulibaly, and they gave a free kick against him, and it wasn't a free kick.
Doesn't even touch him.
Didn't even touch him, and you give a free kick for that, and then that keeper got Totti out. It's just
When you think about it. That penalty shape to me, we were talking about it to my dad earlier because we watched Match of the Day back again this afternoon. And he said, could it be to do with him going away from goal? But I said, Dad, when we played Brighton at home, Mitoma was going nowhere near the goal. Semedo clipped him and he gets sent off for the ball was going towards the corner flag, exactly like the one yesterday. And we got the penalty conceded when Semedo took out Mitoma. And it was exactly the same, but obviously yesterday was the keeper.
It's so frustrating with all these things, but I think one of the things we talked about, keeping their heads, making sure that we any of these type of decisions, they can't give any decisions to take the goals away from us and stuff, and which is what we did. Sutty, any other points that you'd like to make on the weekend's game before we start moving on to the questions?
I think Costa was immense, Dave. Same as what Chris said as well. Wang Yi-chan has become a bit of a revelation all of a sudden, Dave. It's almost like when we first signed him and he scored 5 goals in his first 6 or 7 games. But Costa driving forward, getting the ball, driving forward, laying it out wide, then hitting the box. When was the last time, apart from pre-injury Jimenez, did we have a centre forward that gathered the ball, looked out wide, and drove into the box. We ain't had one for 3 years. It's no wonder we struggle to score. We never gamble. Well, look at Wang Yi-chan yesterday. Drives into the 6-yard box. It may not have happened, but there's always a chance it can come off somebody's backside or something does a tap in. Most good centre forwards don't score worldies.
Yeah.
They don't score worldies. It's just they've got an instinct of knowing where to be. And
like Keno used to be.
Yeah, all them sort of players. If you look at the top centre forwards world football have ever seen and say they've got hundreds of goals, I guarantee you they've got hundreds of tap-ins. It's just knowing when to hit the front post, when to drop off to the back post. It's an instinct. I don't believe it can really be taught, Dave. You can either do it or you can't. And in Diego Costa, he's starting to look fit to me, Dave. And when he gets fit, I mean, I'll let you lot with a question now. So we got 8. How many games you got left? 7. 7 games left. Let's say, for instance, now, let's say he gets 5 goals for what he's done this season. So they'd have all come in the last 8 games. Would you give him another year's contract? Because
I mean, off the record, I've kind of heard that there is a possibility of that happening.
I'd give him one if he didn't score another
goal. If you look as well, if you look at, I mean, I don't go too much on these. He's the joker in the pack. He's always playing around with people, so he's good for motivation. But he's starting to look sharp. It was only a matter of time before he scored. He could have got another yesterday. He nearly ended up in the South Bank, didn't he?
Yeah.
But he could have got another. I mean, he's hitting the ball cleanly. He's making these little runs. He is a shit house, Dave. Sorry, I was looking for a more decent word to use, but he is that outside toilet of a house, isn't he?
Awkward gentleman, Keith.
Yeah, he's horrible, but he's our horrible, Dave.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that.
They didn't know how to handle him. They couldn't handle him.
No.
That Pinnock was frightened to death of him.
Like last week, first 5 minutes, he bowled straight into Fofana. Fofana last week at Chelsea did not want to know anything after that.
No.
Same like he said with Chris said with Pinnock. He nudged him, not too much, not as much as he did before Fofana. Just giving him a couple of niggles first half. Pinnock did not want to know. Ben Mee didn't want to know either. Ben Mee stood straight off him. Went nowhere near him.
He plays football, Dave, right on the peripheries of the edge.
Yeah.
So he knows, if you watch him, he doesn't back chat referees very often. He'll always give that centre half a little tap on the back. You know, if he's crunched him, oh, sorry, mate, sorry. You'll help him up off the floor. But that's just going to say, that's just the first one.
Yeah.
I'm here for 90 minutes and I'm going to smash you every minute. Every chance I get, I will smash you because I know you're going to try and give me one back, but I'll win this battle. He's the dirtiest centre forward we've had since Bully. And if anybody tells you, if anybody who's ever played against Bully will tell you he was horrible.
And that's why you got so many goals.
You need a centre half to be horrible, to be scared stiff of the opposition players they're playing against. And if you've got him looking at you, you think, Jesus Christ, he's going to be vile.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it was great to see the celebration, to see him get goal. You know, and maybe you go on and scored a few more as well, which would be quite nice. You make some good points as well about Wang. I think J-Lo really likes Wang, and obviously a few were writing him off. Obviously, he had the injury, but I think Lopetegui sees a lot in it.
Well, as Chris said, Dave. As Chris said, sorry to butt in, as Chris said, and he's absolutely spot on, Hwang is your first line of defence because he puts goalkeepers, centre-halves, full-backs under pressure. Got to play it out fast. Got to get rid of it. Every now and then he'll nick one as well. He makes that centre-half feel like he's got to rush when he's in the process of having the ball at feet.
He's quick and strong.
He is your first line of defence. He is a different player.
I think he's very underrated. I mean,
He is, yeah.
I'm at your end of the Steve Bull days. I couldn't really see what happened with that goal. I thought it just come across the news he got in the end of it. When I saw it back, I was like, wow, because he'd anticipated what was going to happen. He'd got himself there. He reacted to that little touch from the defender with the ball, and he controlled it and put it back in the net. It was a really technical goal he scored. I mean, everybody says, "Oh, fluky." There's a lot of things got to be done by the guy to be there to put that in the net.
Yeah. Guys, quick question. Raul Jimenez, got to be talked about. He was walking his dog, apparently on his Instagram, yesterday before the game. At the game, I think he was at the match. I'm not sure. Is he injured again? Is he just out the side? Is he out of favour? Where are we at with it? What do we think? Because I don't really know how to read it. I don't think any of us do, really.
Unfortunately, I think along with Ait Nouri, I think he's been bomb squad. I think come the summer he'll be off. And I think but the fact Lopetegui said about both Ait Nouri, they said Ait Nouri and Raul last week, they said it was for, what was the word?
Tactical reasons. And then this week he's then said before the game that they've got to fight for their place. I think he's had a word with both of them and said, "Get your acts together, guys. Otherwise, you're definitely off."
It's a bit strange because Raul played a couple of games not so long ago.
Yeah.
And actually was looking not like he used to be, but was looking a lot better than he has been. Yeah. And then he just disappeared. Whether he felt he's getting somewhere near where he used to be, and then he's been on the bench and something's been said, his behaviour's not been something, I don't know. But I mean, if you look at his Instagram, what he posts on there now, very little about Wolves. It's all about his dogs, and also online gaming. He does very little about Wolves now. He seems to be disenfranchised with us.
Well, Essex Wolf said he was at the game taking pictures outside of Molineux yesterday. I mean, yeah, that's the thing for me. He did play a couple of games and then he's out the team. And Ryan Ait Nouri, again, it's the same kind of situation. Sutty, what's your take?
Dave, pre-World Cup, he couldn't play. Couldn't play for us. He wasn't fit enough. He's back in America or Mexico. He's training hard with Club America. Makes a miraculous recovery, Dave. Goes to the World Cup. Lopetegui comes in. What did Lopetegui say about Raul Jimenez going to the World Cup, Dave? He said,
I don't think he's very happy.
He should not be at the World Cup. He should be using this. He's not fully fit. He should be using this month to be getting ready to go because we're in a relegation battle and we need him. Raul Jimenez decided to go to the World Cup. That was his decision. Now, let's put this into perspective, Dave. When Raul Jimenez was signed by Wolves, he was a bench player in Spain. He was doing very little. We made him. Yeah. We as a club and Nuno Espirito Santo made that player what he was. Now, if you look back at any interviews and that, he was always getting linked with big moves away. Fair enough. There was big clubs looking at him, United's, Tottenham's and all this. He never categorically said, I won't be moving. He always said, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Never did he really pledge his love for this football club. Now, he was outstanding. I don't walk away from that one. He was outstanding. In his peak, we had a top 5 Premier League striker, and the injury did for him, right? But he showed his cards, Dave, with the World Cup. He went against what this manager thought was best for him, and this manager, I think now, is showing his hand where he takes fools lightly, Dave. We've got a manager now that is almost a Nuno manager. When he walks in the room, they listen. And if they don't listen, see you later.
See you later. Make your point. Absolutely. It'd be interesting to see how that pans out with Raul, because as you say, he has been much loved by the fans. He did have that injury and he ain't been the same since. And whatever happens with Raul Jimenez in the future in regards to his career, he's always going to have, the Wolves fans are always going to have that love for him for that 2 or 3 years when he was on song before the injury. And there's always going to be a lot of respect there. Will he be here next year? Probably not. I don't think. I think Lopetegui is in phase 1 at the moment. All Lopetegui at the moment.
Dave, don't get tied to any players, mate. Don't look. We all look at them as gods. I'll tell you who my best players are in my time at Wolves, the same as you will. I'll tell you who my heroes were. The club will always be there, Dave. Yeah. Players will come, players will go. The only constant that is within this club is the likes of us on this screen. We will be there to the day we can't physically walk in. We are the constants at this club. Players come and go. Players go for better contracts. Players come because there might be last chance saloon for them. We might unearth a gem. Don't be deluded enough to get tied to too many players. Hence what I say to you about team selection. Because Neves is our favourite player, we all look at him as the master. This manager, we need to make this manager a manager who's the most important person at the club. Just like Nuno was, he was God. Now, like when he left, you probably shed a tear, like I did, Dave. I was devastated.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he was a proper manager. And I know that for fact, Dave, because I had a conversation with somebody who was in that changing room every week, Dave, for 34 years as the kit man. And in 34 years, he told me, when this man walks in the room falls silent. There is nobody's under any other illusion that he is a manager. He's not a coach. He manages men. Now, sometimes you have to make difficult decisions when you manage men. So don't be too tied to a player. Let this man do his work. Okay, he's tinkered a bit. Let him do his work and we will come out the other side. And if you look at it closely, I judge us to what Newcastle did last year. They were bottom at Christmas, Dave. They spent a bit of money in January. They went on a run. They finished just above us, I think.
Yeah, they did.
In the end. Look at them now, Dave. They've got a manager spending money wisely, good owners who've got money. We've got money. And if we're on the up, they'll spend again, right? This is the start, Dave. If it means us cashing in on a few people to get better players, so be it. Trust him. He'll come good for us.
Well said, mate. Absolutely brilliant, as always. To finish off then, guys, we're going to be doing, obviously, highlight moment of the day. It can be anything from your day. It doesn't have to be the game. Man of the match, performance rating, and who would you have play you in a film, actor, TV series. Can be an actor or a personality. And we're going with, you've had time to think about this, guys. We're going to go with Josh to kick off.
Moment of the day. It's probably got to be just seeing Costa, looking back to him, what we've seen in the past, the way he moved around on the ball. That's my moment of the day, and the fact he got his goal. Yeah. That's my moment of the day. Match rating, I am going to go 9.
9. Yeah.
I just think we controlled the game. I don't think Brentford laid a finger on us, really, apart from that chance they had off the post in the end. Yeah. They didn't look like they had anything up front. I thought we marked Ivan Toney out the game. And then man of the match for me, there's got to be. It's a really tough one because I think everyone had a brilliant game yesterday. I'm going to go João Gomez. I thought off the ball, like last week, off the ball, his work rates
phenomenal.
Mental.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's my man of the match.
Okay, so that comes down to the really important question.
So
who's gonna get playing your personality?
I narrowed it down to a few, but I've got down to 2. So I've got tied between Will Poulter and Taron Egerton, but I'm going to go with Taron Egerton.
How do I spell that?
Taron.
Yeah.
Egerton. He was in the Kingsman films, and he played Elton John.
And Eddie
Egerton.
Yeah.
It can't be him, can it?
Egerton.
Edgerton. Right.
Just the G, no D.
Oh, Egerton. Okay, yeah. We're going to put the. Oh well, right. I think I found him. So let's put this up on the screen. Let's see what you think of this, guys. Share the screen. Here we go. There you go, Josh.
Boom.
Hey. So there you go. Fantastic, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Right then. I can't wait for this. Chris.
Which bit can't you wait for?
Mate, do all the you've done your performance, you think, but reiterate all of that and your moment of the day, and then
I'll give you a clue how I look like. Everybody knows this guy, and when I tell you, you'll see him and go, "Oh, Jesus Christ, yes, you do look like him," but you won't think I do at the moment.
Okay, I've got someone in mind, but we'll see if it's the same person. Go on then.
Moment of the day. I went in the fan zone yesterday. I don't know why I went there, but I went there, and I discovered them from the Indian kebab van thing that's there. Them red masala chips that they do. They was fantastic. So that was my moment of the day. I really love them, and I should be going back.
Good pick.
Regularly. Man of the match is Costa.
Yep,
he's just fantastic. Just going back to the lookalikes, I did think when Nathan and Hoops were there, they looked like Phil and Grant Mitchell. And I've got somebody that I think he looks like as well. So I'll wait for him. I don't want to steal his thunder in case he says. So anyway, if you put some sunglasses on me and a black suit and a white shirt and a black hat, a bit younger when I haven't got grey hair, I look like John Belushi.
You do.
Yeah. How do I spell Belushi?
Blues
Brothers.
Belushi. Blues Brothers.
Hold on, just typing this in.
There's 2, not Dan Aykroyd, the shorter one, and more rotund is.
I'm gonna try this on the screen now. Here we go. The John Belushi, the Blue Brothers. I love it. Well done, mate. That's a good one. That is fantastic. Right, finally. Before we are going to come back and do score predictions and then come back to the secret word and everything. Sutty, it's over to you, mate.
Well, I gave it a 9 last week, Dave.
You did.
Is Emma sat down?
Ever sat down?
9.5.
9.5. She says that you're feeling all right.
Yeah. I will score it, Dave, exactly how it should be. I won't pull no punches, Dave. It was outstanding.
Yeah.
Brentford
I gave it a 10 yesterday.
Brentford weren't in the game, Dave. They weren't in the game. Ivan Toney didn't. Well, he had to hit the bar at the end, didn't he?
Keith, I've got a theory about Ivan Toney, why he went missing yesterday. What happened yesterday? What else happened yesterday?
The Grand National.
Yeah, I think he was too preoccupied in that.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, yeah, I think we were outstanding, Dave. Hence, that's why I've given it a 9.5. I think we were better than we were against Chelsea. We were more ruthless. We controlled the game. I can't knock that. If we play like that against Leicester, so that's 3 points.
Cool.
So, there you go. Man of the match. Well, when you're giving 9.5s out, nobody's below a 7, are they?
Not really, no.
I wouldn't say. But for me, and for pulling a team out of the proverbial and gives his all, okay, we only get 70 minutes out of him, but it has to be Costa, Dave.
Yeah.
It has to be Costa. He was outstanding. He's vile. But like I said to you, he's our vile and we love him. So he's exactly what we needed. People laughed at us when we recruited him because he hadn't played for 9 months.
Yeah.
They ain't laughing no more, are they?
No.
So
No.
I'll take him every day of the week because he gives me exactly the minimum I expect is 100% effort and he gives it. So
Absolutely.
that's that. Moment of the day. Well, the Costa goal for me because the place just erupted, didn't it?
It was a magical moment, mate. We've been waiting for it, haven't we? It was magical.
Yeah, I think so. And my looking like he's got to play me in a film. Well, my life's been quite colourful, Dave. So, if I had to have an actor play me, Dave, it would be Jason Statham.
Someone said that actually.
Because he'd have to take a few knocks, Dave, that's for certain. But I was out, just a quick story. I was out with my good lady once, sat outside a bar, and she posted a picture of us. We were sat opposite the cathedral in Worcester on a nice sunny day. And I did have to giggle, and it made my day because somebody said, "Are you going out with Pep Guardiola?"
Pep.
Yeah, mate. I found a picture. I found a picture of him for you. There you go. Jason Statham. There you go. Just need to put the cap on at the top.
Dave.
You what?
I wish I had that 6-pack.
There we all do, mate. We all do. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I think Keith looks like somebody else called Keith. I think his name's Keith. The guy who was doing the singing on the England Vindaloo. Is he Keith Allen?
Yeah, Keith Allen.
I think you look just like him.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That's a good call, actually.
Let's see whether I can find that.
Sheriff of Nottingham.
Keith Allen, Vindaloo.
Yeah, because he's had a bit of stubble recently as well.
He's got a bit older now, but let's just put that up on the screen. Here we go.
Has he got a 6-pack, Dave?
I don't know. Keith Allen Vindaloo. There we go. There's a few images there of him.
Yeah, that one there of him in the video. Yeah. I reckon that's
the one on the left-hand side in the middle.
Yeah.
The one in the left-hand side in the middle. You mean this one?
Yeah.
Absolute quality. I love it. I absolutely love it. Right then. So, guys, we're going to be finishing the show by asking for a score prediction. Guys in the chat, obviously, we've had a secret word all through that we've been putting in all the way through the night. So now's your opportunity to let us know if you've managed to get the secret word. And whilst we do that, we're going to be asking score predictions, first of all, for Leicester next week away to Josh.
I think it's going to be a lot tighter. I know they lost to City today, conceded 3 in the first 28 minutes, but I think it's going to be a lot tighter game. It's Dean Smith's first game there. So they conceded 3 goals really early today. I'm going to go 1-0. And we've had, on the base, we've won two away games all season. So I'm going to go 1-0 tight game.
Fantastic. Chris?
If we carry on in the way we have been, playing the way we have been, with the people that we have been, I think we owe those guys a bit of a kicking. And I reckon we'll beat them 3-1.
3-1. Bloody hell. Kevin Leighton almost put that up exactly as you said it. And finally, Keith.
4-0.
4-0.
We'll do to them what they did to us.
I love it. I love it. Sutty, absolutely fantastic. For those of you that were looking in the chat for the secret word, actually, Roger Tomlinson has got it right. It was Ramble or Rambler. And the reason that I went with that this week, there's always a link somewhere. The Grand National, as someone's mentioned, was yesterday, and the winner of the Grand National was Chaos Rambler or something along that. Was in his name. Well, the second part of his name was Rambler. So there is the link, and it was Rambler. So well done to you, mate, for getting that right. And that it means that we're on 1 hour 35 minutes, which is basically 90 minutes plus added time. A fantastic show tonight. We're all happy. Some great points made. We will wait with interest to see what the team selection is next weekend away at the Foxes, and let's hope we give them a bit of a mauling by the Wolves. From all of us here, to all of you guys in the chat, for all of you watching, if you're listening back on podcast or listening back on catch up, hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please smash it a like. If you're new, subscribe. Until the next one, from all of us, to you and yours, always Wolves.